In 1951, while Detroit was celebrating the flashy machines from Ford, Chevrolet, and Chrysler, a small company in Michigan named Hudson quietly built a legend. No V8, no fancy styling, just a humble six-cylinder sedan. Yet this unassuming car would make NASCAR bow its head. The Hudson Hornet, a name that sounded gentle, accomplished the impossible, defeating the giants of American racing and shaking the auto industry to its core. Today's story isn't just about an engine or a car. It's about the fearless spirit of a forgotten brand that dared to be different. After World War II, America entered the golden age of automobiles. Highways stretched across the nation, gas was cheap, and cars became the ultimate symbol of freedom. Detroit was the steel heart of the country, ruled by the Big Three: GM, Ford, and Chrysler. With their massive chrome-laden V8-powered machines, a car wasn't just transportation. It was a statement of success. Amid that era, the Hudson Motor Car Company, a small firm from Michigan, chose a different path. While others chased style and glamour, Hudson invested in engineering precision and handling stability. They believed true performance came not from looks, but from how a car hugged corners and responded to the driver's hands. With that philosophy in mind, in 1948, Hudson introduced a revolutionary design known as the step-down design. In this layout, the floor pan was lowered between the frame rails, seating occupants much closer to the road than any other car of its time. While most sedans of the 1950s placed drivers on top of the frame, Hudson positioned them within it, a subtle yet transformative shift that redefined vehicle dynamics. The results were remarkable. The lower center of gravity made the Hudson Hornet exceptionally stable through corners, reducing body roll and giving it a solid, confident feel. The semi-unibody construction increased rigidity, while balanced weight distribution between front and rear improved traction. When Ford and Chevrolet were still struggling with ladder frames, Hudson had already engineered a platform a decade ahead of its rivals. From the outside, the Hornet appeared modest, low-slung, and sleek, but its shape was deliberately aerodynamic. What looked traditional actually cut through the air with surprising efficiency, providing both high-speed stability and remarkable smoothness. Step inside, and you don't sit on the car, you're embraced within it. Thick cloth or leather seats, soft cushions, and a low seating position create an intimate connection with the road. The sweeping dashboard, large instruments, and signature soft blue backlighting give the cabin an unexpectedly modern, almost luxurious ambiance. The controls are driver-oriented, while the AM radio and standard heater make the Hornet a true luxury sports sedan of its era. On the road, the Hudson Hornet felt unlike anything else. Steering was light and precise, suspension compliant yet firm. At highway speeds, it glided like a Cadillac. Yet, when cornering, it moved with the grace of a European sports coupe. Drivers who experienced it often said the same thing. It feels like you're sliding across the road, not driving on it. People once mocked Hudson's low-slung profile, but racers understood the secret. That very stance was its greatest weapon. It allowed the Hornet to corner faster, tighter, and cleaner than any sedan of its time. And to fully unleash that advanced chassis, Hudson needed a heart powerful enough to conquer the racetrack. And they built exactly that. The 308 in inline-6 displacing over 5.0L, the largest six-cylinder ever fitted to an American production car at the time. At first, it produced around 145 horsepower, modest compared to the V8s from Ford or Chrysler. But in 1952, Hudson introduced the twin H-Power setup. Two side-mounted Carter carburetors feeding through dual intake manifolds with twin air filters. The result? 170 horsepower and a deep surge of torque available right off idle, allowing the Hornet to leap forward with effortless strength. What set it apart wasn't just power, but refinement. The 3-speed manual transmission combined with optional overdrive let the nearly 900 lb sedan accelerate smoothly while maintaining impressive fuel efficiency. The torque delivery was linear and composed, calm in traffic, but ferocious when unleashed. For context, the Ford Flathead 58 made just 110 horsepower, while Chevrolet's Blue Flame 6 produced around 115. On NASCAR's dusty ovals, that advantage made the Hornet nearly unbeatable. Drivers described it as a sleeping beast, smooth and quiet, but ready to roar at any moment. Hudson even offered a racing package that raised compression and optimized airflow. Private racers managed to extract over 200 horsepower, enough to outrun the burly V8s dominating southern circuits. The first man to recognize its potential was Marshall Teague, a Florida racer known as the King of the Beach. Without any factory backing at first, Teague brought his own Hornet to the sandy track of Daytona Beach, where NASCAR was still in its infancy. With an uncanny understanding of mechanics, Teague and Hudson's engineers fine-tuned every component: carburetors, suspension, and wheel alignment. The results were staggering. By 1951, the Hornet had won 27 out of 34 NASCAR races, an unprecedented achievement. Rivals began calling it the blue car that killed the V8s. From 1952 to 1954, the Hudson Hornet ruled the tracks. Legendary drivers like Herb Thomas, Tim Flock, and Dick Wathman continued its winning streak. The Hornet wasn't just fast, it was durable, enduring hundreds of miles of dirt track racing without breaking down, something many larger V8s couldn't claim. In 1952, Herb Thomas captured the NASCAR Grand National Championship and repeated the feat in 1953, making Hudson the only independent manufacturer in history to win consecutive titles. Decades later, the legend returned to life in Pixar's Cars 2006 through the character Doc Hudson, a wise retired race car modeled after the real Hudson Hornet. But even after 3 glorious years on the racetrack, Hudson's comeback as an independent automaker proved to be an illusion. Despite its fame in NASCAR, Hudson Hornet sales continued to decline. The step-down design, once a masterpiece of engineering, had become a financial burden. Its low-slung floor structure couldn't be shared across multiple models, driving production costs far higher than those of the major automakers. Meanwhile, industry giants like Ford and GM released cheaper, more stylish V8-powered cars that captured the post-war public's imagination. Hudson, constrained by limited funding, couldn't afford a complete redesign. Despite its dominance in racing, Hudson showrooms across America grew emptier by the day. In 1954, in one final effort to survive, Hudson merged with Nash Kelvinator to form the American Motors Corporation, AMC. That merger ended over 40 years of independence for Hudson, a brand once celebrated for its innovation and bold engineering. After the merger, the 1955 Hudson Hornet became little more than a rebadged Nash, stripped of its step-down chassis and legendary twin H-Power sole. It was the unmistakable sign that the legend had reached its end. Throughout its production run from 1951 to 1954, the Hudson Hornet wasn't just a sporty sedan. It came in several distinctive versions tailored for different drivers. The most famous was the 2-door Club Coupe, a favorite among racers for its lighter weight and stiffer body. It was this very model that NASCAR legends like Marshall Teague and Herb Thomas chose for competition. Hudson also offered the Hornet convertible Brougham, a luxurious open-top model with leather interiors, curved windshield, and heavy chrome detailing. Though expensive, it proved that performance and elegance could truly coexist. By 1953, the Hollywood hardtop joined the lineup. a pillarless design that blended the grace of a convertible with the rigidity of a coupe and remains one of the most visually stunning Hudsons ever made. Starting in 1952, all Hornet models could be ordered with the Twin H power package, adding power and giving the inline six its iconic dual carburetor sound. Some examples also featured overdrive, twin-gauge clusters, and oversized hydraulic brakes. Rare luxuries for American sedans of that era. These variants captured the dual spirit of the Hornet, fierce on the racetrack, refined on the boulevard. They showed that even a small automaker could build cars with real character, machines that stood apart from Detroit's mass-reduced giants. Although Hudson disappeared from the American automotive landscape in the mid-1950s, the legacy of the Hudson Hornet has endured for more than half a century. Technically, its step-down design became the foundation of the modern unibody chassis. The concept of a lower floor integrated with the frame inspired later generations of performance sedans. From AMC and Chrysler to Pontiac Bonneville and Chevy Impala SS, traces of the Hornet's DNA can still be seen in cars that prized balance and handling. Through its engineering genius, the Hornet proved that speed didn't come from brute force. It came from smart, deliberate design. It made Detroit realize that true innovation could outshine marketing. In an age that were ripped bigger is better, the Hornet dared to be the opposite: lower, lighter, smarter. That boldness made it one of the first truly modern sedans in American history. But the Hornet's influence reached far beyond engineering. In American popular culture, its low stance and fearless performance became a symbol of post-war creativity. Museums such as the Petersonen Automotive Museum and the Henry Ford Museum still display the Hudson Hornet as proof of a time when engineers took risks to push boundaries. Car clubs and historians remember it not merely as a racing machine, but as an idea, a car that embodied intelligence ahead of its time. Today, only a few hundred Hudson Hornets remain, each considered a living treasure. Enthusiast groups like the Hudson Essex Terra Plane Club hold annual gatherings where restored Hornets thunder to life again, their twin H-power engines echoing across the decades. Custom shops like Kindegot Design and Icon 404 have built rest Hornets, retaining their classic design while upgrading suspension, brakes, and drivetrains for the modern world. For collectors and dreamers alike, every Hornet represents more than steel and chrome. It's a story of pride and mechanical purity. It reminds people of a time when engineers were artists, and every ignition carried a piece of America's soul. Hudson may have vanished, but whenever a Hornet rolls by, people pause, listen, and feel that the legend still breathes. If you've ever believed that only the giants could make history, remember the Hudson Hornet. A humble sedan that made all of Detroit bow in respect. It didn't rely on glamour or overwhelming power. With ingenuity, passion, and the courage to be different, Hudson built a legend. What about you? Have you ever seen a Hornet in person or heard stories of its strength and grace? Share your memories or thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to keep traveling with me through the forgotten legends of America, the machines that changed history, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Because our journey isn't over.